Athletes and fans around the world, welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. Thank you for joining us. Sponsored by Global Formulas. We couldn't do this without them. Thank you very much for that. We've got a very special show for Tim Wilkins, as always, joined by Mega Judge Tarek El-Kindi from somewhere in the world.
I just came back. This year I've been in Malaysia, Romania, I've been in Mexico and Canada. But Tim, what a great moment, right? We finally got rid of Chris Cormier and we upgraded to the highest level. It's like we had a Seiko, a beat up Seiko, and now we got the Patek Philippe of bodybuilding.
Wow. There you go. So this is from a man who, when we fly as much as we all do, to get that upgrade to the better seat with the good dinner.
Oh, I know. I know.
You are elite platinum level. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Hi,
but
Sandy.
he beats me this year in miles, I am sure. But I'm still ahead of Kimoto, so him and I have a battle going.
Well, not only do we love having you on the show, but Tarek, I'm sure you're aware of this. Sandy was one of our highest rated shows. The athletes and fans love her. We're going to talk about you like we all do in the third person. People in general love having her on the show for her perspective. So it's such an honor to have her with us today.
You know, Tim, I judge shows, and a lot of times people, a lot of the bikini competitors, the figure competitors, women's physique competitors, they want to hear from the head judge of the Mr. Olympia, right? And listen, I don't blame them, because in the end of the day, Sandy Williamson, she's going to get that paper from all of us, top 5, top 6, and she gathers them all. But if she likes 2 girls and she thinks that those 2 girls should be on the first call out, she's going to have them, and nobody's going to disagree with her. So if you are a competitor, you do want to get the opinion of the head judge of the Mr. Olympia. And I think this is a tremendous opportunity, not only for the pros, but for the amateur competitors to hear from somebody that can make those decisions.
People, and we're going to get to your thoughts, people will bring you on as head judge, and if there's a pro component, that the amateur component is going to spike in competitors because you're there and they want to be seen by you, which is pretty sweet.
I mean, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that's what I'm told. But I also think it puts a little, what do I want to say, stress on the head judge coming in, because it's like you want to help the promoter, you know what I mean? So it's like, and now you're going to use me as bait, and you're like, I hope it lives up to that. You know what I mean? You do. You feel a responsibility to the promoters that bring you in, that you hope you elevate, their show a little bit for them.
Well, don't think we're not using you as bait as well. So let's get to the questions.
Oh, that's okay. Everybody pimps me out. I'm used to it.
So we're still doing Olympia wrap-up. I know it's been a month and a half-ish. 50-plus bikini competitors. Before we get to our champion this year, talk about the quality and the excitement in this year's crop of Olympians.
Well, obviously, first of all, because it was the 60th, that hype just grew, grew as the year went on. And man, the athletes didn't disappoint. They made it special with the quality they brought. I mean, it is so hard. I mean, Tarek, you know darn well, when you start, because you always want to make sure as a head judge, or is it just as a judge, period, because every judge on that panel is like a wingman to that head judge. Because as a head judge, you're trying to make the flow of the show go, keep everything in perspective. It's easy sometimes to miss an athlete. Not that you miss it yourself, but that you call a number and they don't come out, because and that does happen. So you need all those other judges to say, you called whoever, 34, and they never walked out, especially because of the language barriers when you get the show like at the level of the Olympia. You have athletes from all over the world coming. Some do speak English, some don't, and stuff. And it's very easy for that, for that to happen. But so when you're looking down your paper, when you're getting toward the end of all the comparisons, and I see athletes that I don't have a score next to, meaning they're in that 16th and under, and you see like names and you're going, oh my God, I think and then you start looking, but who am I going to change her with? Where do I need to fit her in with? I mean, every one of those athletes on that stage won a regional show somewhere or multiple regional shows, and they're still in the 16th and under. That tells you the quality, and they all want feedback. And sometimes it's like it's such a innate thing that just draws your eye to that judge, because all their physiques are awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just who just nails it with that whole presentation and the posing, and just catches everybody's eyes. Because I will tell you, it's like you said, Tarek, when the rest of the judges send that top 5 or well, now we always ask for top 8 down, we were pretty consistent on, out of 50 some, we were pretty consistent as a group.
Yeah.
Now again, would we maybe have all switched some of the places? Yeah, absolutely. We're all human. We're all, you know what I mean? There's no, it's not like a black and white issue. You know what I mean? But we were all really consistent, which again tells me, especially for the athletes, that's what you want to see. We were all kind of looking for the same type of physiques, the type of conditioning, that type of thing at that level.
So 54 perfect physiques from around the world, and one that was more perfect or perfecter than the others, Laura Chapados. So whether it's English or Quebecois, let's give it a look. You tell us.
Oh, Lord.
I know. You tell us what made her pop out of those 50-some that really put her over the top.
Well, I mean, obviously, first of all, just her whole overall look. The hair, the makeup, the suit, just everything when she walked out. But I think probably the biggest thing is I think she knew in her heart she nailed it. Like she knew, you know what I mean? I think she felt the best that she probably, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the first things I tell athletes, and Tarek, I'm sure you do too, your own innate confidence that you just know, I nailed it today. And I think that comes through more than anything. I think you could see it in her face, just how she moved. But from a physique-wise, it was her balance.
Okay, let's pause right there. Now, Sandy, one of the hardest things for me, you two have gotten this down, when I'm live judging from the podium as an MC, finding that balance for a bikini athlete between conditioned and over-conditioned. Built, but not overbuilt. How did she get here, and what kind of perfect are we talking about?
Well, the thing, like I said, we're talking about, because again, you have to remember, we've judged these athletes, over a couple of years.
You can come over and poke at her.
Well,
we love this.
well, no, it's the balance, because her shoulders have always been sometimes a little bit too overpowering.
Yeah.
And sometimes her glutes were getting to the point that they were a little bit overpowering. And she got feedback from head judges at other shows and stuff. And it was always about, you still have to streamline a little bit. And I think you both know, sometimes it's harder to streamline than to build, especially when you want to make it all in balance. And I will tell you, they nailed it this year. Her shoulders were just nice, a little bit of fullness, not overpowering at all. And that's really what you want. You don't want any body part to be overpowering, especially in bikini. You want it all to flow. Her glutes came down a little bit. But the thing is, and she had nice separation, because again, I tell athletes all the time, it's that density in the glutes that push the skin out that gives you that little bit of a taper, not conditioning.
Yeah.
It's the density underneath, and she just brought it. You could see just a hint of a tie-in, no hamstring definition at all. That's kind of what we're looking for, and not too lean. Also, too, it's hard for the women not to get too lean in the ribs or in that upper chest area, and which she's had before in the past. And this time around, again, just nailed it on that day, on that stage.
Let's keep it rolling. You can keep Tarek, like you said, the perfect separation, glute ham tie-in, not a huge pop in the striations of the hamstring. The shoulder popped, but it didn't over pop.
Yes, it didn't. There was no striations in her shoulder. Just nice little fullness. And like I said, nothing was overpowering. Everything just kind of flowed. It was all in balance with her structure, and her amount of development.
And, I want to go back to what Sandy said in the beginning, which was she knew she nailed it. Previously, a few years back, Laura Chapados came in with a lot of pressure. She had won the Arnold, and then she came to the Olympia, and you could tell it was a lot of tension, a lot of pressure, and that reflected on her physique. This time, she had a tranquility to her performance, which is quite attractive, right? You can just feel the person is in peace with herself. And another thing I'm going to agree with Sandy is this. Laura Chapados has amazing glutes, but if she's too full, the glutes get a little bit too overpowering, the shoulders get a little bit too big, because she's a very athletic girl. And Laura Chapados has been over-conditioned as well. Too skinny. We saw her sometimes, and that's when she placed 5th. That's when she fell, a few spots, because she was too skinny. I think this was her best look. But I go back to what Sandy said. your mental going into the show is so important, right? And you do this so many times and you learn, you know what? This time I'm not going to be nervous. I'm not going to put pressure on myself. I'm just going to have my regular meals, my regular cardio. I'm not going to overdo anything. And the reflection is, this is a physique that Lorelee Chapados presents in some of these regional shows that's not the Olympia, where she doesn't have the pressure. So it's a huge lesson for a lot of the competitors. Hey, it's the Olympia. It's the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. But in the end of the day, you got to do what works for you in the past.
So,
But how do you do that? How do you not?
It's like,
how do these athletes, especially these young women, not put that amount of pressure on themselves?
experience, right?
Yeah.
You do it so many times, you get used to it. I mean, it's hard.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to take part of Tarek's usual, put you on the spot. So we have not had a dynasty for a while in bikini, if ever. We've had Isa Piccini, Janet Leung, Maureen Blanquisco, Jennifer Dory. We've won
And don't forget Ashley Kaltwasser, because she won 3 in a row.
That's the while ago dynasty.
She's still part of the dynasty.
No. She's the winningest athlete officially of all time with over 50 wins. She is the official GOAT of the sport. Not just bikini. She's got more wins than anybody. Mm-hmm. She is lurking out there to still win. So that's my question for you. Since there's been no clear winner, who's lurking in that top 3 to top 10 that's going to be our next 1 or 2 or 3 to?
Well, first of all, why does it have to be the next 3 to 10? Because you just saw somebody come again. You get it too as a judge all the time. Well, you look for the names. You look for the names. I think we proved pretty much this year we do not look for the names. When your physique is you nail it, we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
And so, but when you're talking about like the names that, like you said, are coming up, obviously now you got to put Jasmine Gonzalez on that, obviously, on that list. But don't ever count out Ashley.
No,
because
never.
She's right there. I never realized she had 3 titles. It's been in that top 5 mix all the time. I didn't realize that this was the first time she was ever a second. Yeah. She had never been a second up till this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she told me that backstage. I was, I just never thought about it. But you have Jen probably coming back next year. You know what I mean? You have
Maureen.
Issa's always in that mix. And obviously Amy. Amy's kind of doing what Lorelai did. I know the Olympia is everything to them, but you're always at the top. You've won the Arnold's, you've won the New York Pro, you've won the Pittsburgh Pro. You know what I mean? So
and listen, Ashlyn.
She's yes.
She placed 6 or 7. Ariana Brothers.
Yeah.
Jourdain Lee. I mean, and you look at some of the European girls coming in and real strong. It can be very unpredictable. A girl that placed 16th in the 2024 Olympia, she can win the Olympia if she presents an awesome physique.
Absolutely.
Well, Ashley, perennial favorite and one of the, I think, the greatest holder of titles in this sport. We're going to talk about her when we come back. And we're going to talk about Jasmine Gonzalez and what she brought to this year when we come back on Primetime Muscle. All right, Sandy, you've only been here a few minutes and you're already giving better segues than the previous chair holder. So welcome to the show.
So you're comparing me to Chris.
Quarter turn to the right, Sandy. So you segued beautifully into Ashley Kaltwasser and Jasmine Gonzalez and how they are just always lurking. And now Jasmine's moving up. Ashley's always in that top 3, 4, 5, if not 1. Let's take a look at them from this year, and the two of you break down what we had. There's Ashley. I mean, what was the differentiating factor right there when we talk about you talk about the quality being just a smidge more perfect, ideal, whatever it is, and then talk about Jasmine. Give us the look at with these four.
Well, one of them you can see easily in that front pose, even though they're not set in their poses, it's the shape of the glutes. Look at the depth in the roundness in the glutes and don't get me wrong, Ashley has some of the best glutes in the industry too, but just look at the way you present it. Look at how much you see a more of a curve. So you see depth in Lorelai's glutes. You see, the hamstring. Sometimes when Ashley poses to the front, if she don't angle right, you miss that. And that's what, as a judge, that's where I'm comparing it.
So you're talking about that slight little pop to the
Yes.
side, and
Yes.
this could have been with the knee, a slight little pop to the
Yeah.
side that would have made that glute stick out.
Yep. And that a lot of times at this level, again, that's why when you look at people look at pictures and go, oh, they should have, this athlete was better and stuff. No. When we look up and we're comparing, it's that 1 second in time because they're in constant motion.
Yeah.
And unless you're there, you're not gonna see that little difference or see how they angled a little, not like they usually do, you know what I mean? So that they present when we're doing that. To be honest with you, it was so close between Ashley and Lorelai. For me, personally, I just liked, they both have balance, but I just thought Lorelai's, for me, I just thought her glute and leg ratio and stuff, and I think part of it was just her confidence. She exuded so much confidence on stage that, to me, that just kept drawing me back to her. But I will, I'm like I said, if it would have went the other way, I would have went not surprised at all.
Tarek, the competitors, there's this whole big thing in mindset. You judge what's on stage at that exact moment. But you want to talk about improvements with Jasmine. Talk about year over year and how the places that she's come up.
So Jasmine Gonzalez turned pro at the Nationals. She was wearing green bikini. She's a veteran from the United States military. And when she turned pro, you can see already she had amazing genetics, but she had one flaw that was concerning. Her thighs were too big.
Yep.
And she's done probably one of the best, if not the best job in the history of bodybuilding in making her legs diminish the size. She's fought very hard to balance her physique and diminish the size of her legs to make her physique balanced. Like Sandy was saying, if we see something that's off balance, it's already a problem because a lot of these girls in the first, second call out, they don't have anything off balance. In addition to that, she improved her posing. Her posing has improved tremendously and she's become more balanced. I think Jasmine Gonzalez is very dangerous to potentially win the Olympia because she has some of the best glutes, her physique is balanced, and she poses well. Going back here to Ashley and Laura Lee, I'm also going to agree with Sandy. A lot of competitors, they ask us for feedback. And when we say you need to have a little bit more glutes, we just don't mean the back pose.
No.
We mean the front pose. This is vital right here. And a lot of times you get a girl that she doesn't have glutes. She doesn't have glutes. She turns from the back and she has that separation between hamstrings and glutes. And we as judges, we're not impressed just by that. We're like, you know what? You have the separation because you're skinny, but you don't have the glutes. So having that separation between hamstrings and glutes is not the defining factor of, oh, I have glutes. You gotta have the volume right here. You gotta have the volume. And when it comes to volume of glutes, if Loralee Chapados is on point, it's hard to beat her.
But you know what? But even with Gonzalez coming up, Jasmine coming up so much, you can still see though a little bit that, again, the way she's posing, she could use more hamstring when you're looking at these top two, and the fullness to the hamstring that they both have. Now again, she might have it because, like you said, her legs were always her dominant. But now, are you showing that to me? That is the whole issue.
And sometimes she's been trained to hide her hamstrings because judges like myself have been saying, hey, your legs are too big. Your legs are too big. So she does a great job in hiding it. But right now, it's okay because maybe you've surpassed it. Bikini is like, here's the perfection. And the girls are going here, the whole time until they nail like Laura Lee did.
Well, but yes.
Let's see what else we got here, team, and talk about this. And before we get away from these top two, You both mentioned it earlier. I love these drone shots we got of the.
Oh,
Okay.
I love the drone flying around at the Olympia. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, pause if we would, please, because this is phenomenal. And talk about Amy Delgado. Talk about, because she won, I think, 3 shows last year.
Yeah, she won the Pittsburgh, she won the New York Pro,
And then
something else.
Arizona, the home show, I think. Where
Oh, did she win
she's from
Rising
here.
Phoenix?
Was she Rising Phoenix?
No,
No.
it was.
But I know she won the Pittsburgh and the.
I think she won maybe a show in Nevada, Reno, or something.
Okay.
But
Maybe
yeah,
one of the
she's been
legions.
winning a lot of shows.
So she's definitely chipping her way up the ladder.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about. We'll start with Ashley. We'll pause somewhere there. Perfection. Yeah, I always love this. Is like a bad DUI checkpoint to me, where like the hottest woman. Could you just take 5
Well,
steps
the thing
for
is,
me?
you're trying to pause them when they're all exactly in the same position, so you can actually compare them and talk about it.
Let's talk about this before they move again.
Yep.
Let's talk about the separation, the glute ham tie-in. Was Ashley too hard right here, or just didn't have the volume
For
of
me,
glutes?
to me, because I thought she came in maybe a little bit too full for herself. She did not have the pop in her glute quite that she normally has, because Ashley usually blows that away. And that's where Laura Lee really hit it. Her glute to leg ratio was just, because again, we're looking for that balance between the glutes and the legs, and she, to me, nailed it.
That's a lot of worry. The
Yes.
glute to leg ratio.
Well, even when you got back to what you were talking about with Jasmine, the thing is, like you said, she had to downsize her legs, but she also has to be keeping her glutes built too. So now you're trying to like streamline one area and build up the other area, and and keep her legs still coming down. I can't even imagine how you even start doing that.
It's one of the hardest things we judges, we tell them, hey, you need to build your glutes, but you can't get your legs big, Ashley. And then we go to Laura Lee and we say, Laura Lee, your glutes are too big. You need to reduce your glutes, but keep your legs small the same way.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's like the coaches, they go crazy. But listen, that's the beauty of the sport. You're more than just a bodybuilder. You're an artist, sculpting your body to perfection. Cole Wasser, she has some of the best glutes. And she beats everybody at regional shows. When he gets to that first call out at the Olympia, it's not a blowout anymore, because here comes somebody that has, just as amazing glutes as her. Now we start looking at the legs. How are they doing on the legs? Now we start looking at the lower abdominal section. Now we start looking at how are they posing? Who's posing better? It's that small detail that gets the winner. I'm telling you right now, mark my words right now, okay? Ashley Kowalser is as dangerous as ever. I don't think anybody would be surprised if she wins an Olympia again.
Oh.
She's getting to her peak as we watch some of these years, and I think she can win again.
Which is amazing considering, she's been in the sport for as long as she's been in.
Yeah.
So here's where I got myself in trouble, and the boys never take an opportunity to just dog pile. So knowing that she's been in this sport 16, 17 years, some amazing amount of time, you immediately start doing math in your head and think, well, she'd be great for the Masters Olympia next year. Let's go.
She is 35 years old. She's not near Masters. So, Tim, obviously I can understand why she was upset with you. She actually made a request to replace you from the show with Bob Ciccarello, but the audience said, we never want to see Bob again, Tarek. We can only see Bob once a year at the Olympia. He's a self-centered maniac. Let's keep Tim Wilkins.
That they couldn't afford, Bob. I'm in the budget. Yeah. So it's just one of those things, though, Sandy. So I think that's an interesting thing. You always give the greatest feedback. You look at Jasmine, you look at Amy, and you think, okay, what is different? What could be done? Well, it's not a matter of coming in tighter, because that's going to tighten up other areas. It's building the glute to stick out to create the separation.
Well, and that's why when you're talking to young amateurs coming in, they have to get extra lean because they don't have the muscle to show, so they have to get leaner to show what they have. These girls, as you move up the sport, it's not about conditioning. It's about building so that it pushes the skin out. It gives you the shape. Now you don't have to get as lean.
We're going to roll this just a little bit more. Let's talk about presentation as we do our spins.
If any of these girls do not like their bodies, I would take it in a heartbeat and be the happiest person in the world.
I'm married, or I'd say the same thing.
Oh.
And I'm going to touch here a controversial topic. Nico, are you ready? Okay. Sandy's here.
Oh.
As we look at some of these girls amazing glute developments. What we don't see is anything crazy off balance, okay? We don't see something, just popping out of nowhere right here, okay? We don't see some crazy blemishes or crazy stuff going on, which we call it imbalances, okay? We are looking at bodybuilders who have developed the muscle group. We are not looking at crazy imbalances. So if you're an amateur competitor, you want to become a pro. If you're a pro, you want to be on the first call out of the Olympia, you need to develop your glutes, develop your legs, not crazy imbalances, right, Sandy?
Oh, absolutely. You're not going to get this from anything else but going to the gym and taking the time to develop the muscle.
So you guys are dancing all around so sweetly. You want to be controversial. So don't think about injecting yourself with cooking oil or plumbing supplies or whatever other trash they're telling you now.
Well, first of all, under the LED lights, we're going to see that in a heartbeat. It doesn't look natural.
Absolutely. Get to the gym. Go get your Pro Zero right now.
Best.
Global formulas. Train hard. You need to get 1 gram of protein per pound. If you're a 140-pound bikini competitor, you need 140 grams of Pro Zero. Then you go to the gym, you get your super freak, and you get to the squat, and you get your glutes working out like a beast. Train hard, demand the best. Back to you, Tim Wilkins.
There's nothing left for me to say. All right. Great job, Tarek. We're going to talk about, speaking of dynasties, we're going to talk about Sid Gillan's place in history when we come back. All right, you're all regular watchers of the show, so you saw a couple weeks ago we did our Olympia episode congratulating Sid Gillan. She sent us the coolest shirts.
Did she?
They're like jerseys. They've got the year she won, the 60th Olympia. It says all kinds of cool stuff. It's got our names on the back.
I'm contacting Sid tomorrow.
Oh man,
Sorry,
Sandy,
Sid.
you didn't get one?
No, and I'm
man.
head judging her show next year.
Oh,
The Triple O Dynasty.
Sid
Well, I did the
Gillan.
Triple O, but I'm also doing Sid Gillan, the Peach Classic.
The Peach Classic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she, with 8 wins, gets up there with Lenda and Lee Haney. I mean, talk about an elite part of the sport. But you talked about you both talked about the structure. Talk about her as an athlete, and then where she is, what kind of impact she's made on the future of the sport and the history of the sport.
I mean, well, first of all, obviously, you have to have in that division, you have to have genetics, and she does. But I also know a lot of the male guys that have the genetics and never got to the Olympia because obviously you have to be one focused, determined athlete.
Is that a hint to Chris Cormier?
Sorry.
B-roll Chris Cormier on that. B-roll Chris Cormier on that.
Oh, the ghost of Chris getting punished again. You won't even let him go when he's not here. I love it.
I didn't bring up any names.
Oh.
But if the shoe fits, no. But in all honesty, for me, I've been doing this 40 years. Actually, I just counted the other day because somebody asked me at the Olympia. I've judged 33 Olympias and seen 35 because I saw 2 where I didn't judge. Yes. I have never met, though, a more focused athlete than that young woman. Seriously. For everything that she does. I mean, I've had her, come and do some seminars and stuff. And I'm telling you, the comments and the feedback, longtime trainers will say to me, oh my God, Sandy, nobody says it like she does. Nobody puts it forth. Like even how she tells the athletes, because sometimes trainers will say to me, I can't get a point across to my athlete what exactly I need them to do or to change. She just totally, now I know how to present it to an athlete. I mean, she is such a great speaker, such a great ambassador, and just, I mean, obviously an amazing athlete.
Well, I want to mention one thing. When we talk about genetics, a lot of us, we relate to the physicality, right? The physical ability that somebody has that they got it from their dad or their mom. But one thing that most people don't know is Sid Gillan's father was a competitor. He was a bodybuilder. And Sid Gillan used to sit in the audience and watch her father compete. But you have to take in consideration, as Sandy was talking about, the focus. As a little girl, Sydney Gillan saw her father go through the diet, saw her father doing cardio, saw her father sacrificing. So the genetic makeup is not only the physical, but is also the mental.
Which is what I say to our women, well, mostly women, only because that's who I talk to mostly. You have no idea. You are the best role model for your children. I mean, we have a country that 28% of our 18 and under are obese, not overweight, obese. 54% of adults are obese in our country. You are the best mentor, role model to your children, because they're going to learn that physical activity and healthy eating, again, not that they're never going to have fast food, but that's part of life. They're going to grow up knowing that. And those first couple of years of raising a child, they'll tell you is the most important.
So you both have better seats than any of us. I'm 2 rows back from you at the Olympia. And
I have a great seat.
Well, you have the great seat. Prejudge, let's talk about this from both of you. They have the reigning Olympian come out last at prejudge. At night show as well, but at prejudge. All the excitement's building for the C-bums and the this. And then Sid comes out that morning with 2 steps, this whole flowy arm thing that she does. Do you get that same sense of excitement that we all get as fans in that audience? As a judge, or are you just dead?
Oh my God, no. Absolutely. Because again, you hope that, because you know what these athletes go through, and you want, especially that winner from the year before, you hope that at least they nail it for themselves. They can't be responsible because you have no idea who else is going to come in, but you just want them to have nailed it for themselves. So at least for me, I do. When that winner from the year before walks out and you know that they look great for themselves, you just go, oh, I'm so happy for them. Yes.
You do?
Well, listen, when we see greatness, it touches us, right? When we see greatness, when somebody has a retirement speech, we cry too. We saw that person competing. Sydney Gillan is not only one of the greatest physiques we've ever seen in bodybuilding, but I'm going to say that her presentation is to be studied. If you're a figure competitor, pro or AM, you need to study her presentation, her movement, everything she does, the transfer of balance. This girl is more than a competitor. She is an artist.
And also, too, you need to get her back routine. I mean, because because don't get me wrong, we have a lot of athletes that are coming up and look really, really good. The girls that were chasing her, but when she does turn around to the back, that's usually the defining moment for her.
So let me ask you both this, because this is an interesting question. We talk a lot on the show about the evolution. We talk about the change from the Larry Scott to the Arnolds to the Lee Haneys to Ronnie and Jay. We talk about how the bodies have developed over time. But there's not much more you can do. How long is she going to be the gold standard? And are we going to look forward and go, all right, this is the Olympia this year, but 2 years ago was Sid Gillan. I mean, how long is she going to be the gold standard to guide physique by?
Until somebody else comes and takes it away.
Exactly. And Tim, I'm going to put an end to the conversation. Oh, the standards changing, the standards changing. Yes, absolutely. It's called the evolution of sport. Larry Scott, 1965. He didn't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1975. Arnold looked bigger, better. Hey, Ronnie Coleman, he looked better than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Are you complaining? Do you want Ronnie Coleman to look smaller, less defined? No, you don't. In basketball, Steph Curry, he shoots the ball from midcourt and he makes the shot. In 1960, nobody did that. Are you complaining? No, you're not. We are getting better as a sport. The competitors are getting better. The lighting is getting better. Everything is getting better. So somebody will eventually come and be better than Sydney Gillan. That's a possibility. She was great for 8 years. She was the standard, but I'm also going to say that she also evolved a little bit. Early in her career, she lost to Latoria Watts, and she was able to surpass Latoria Watts because she improved. Hey, here comes Jessica Reyes-Padilla, Lola Montez. I think those girls are great. They can improve, and they can become the standard.
So, Sandy, Mr. Segway this morning. You have lurking there near the top, as always, Natalia Soltero, Jessica Reyes-Padilla, Lola Montez. Who in that 5th, 6th, 7th spot is looking to chip their way into the top 3 or top spot?
We have Erica Morgan that's always up. She's another one that's up at the top.
I'm going to say one name, and I think I always do. Rhea
Yes.
Gale has one of the best V-tapers, and she's now developing her quads. Watch out for Rhea Gale.
But Rhea needs to she needs to streamline her upper body just a little bit, because you're right, she has an amazing upper body. But even in figure, the one thing with Sid, everything was balanced. And that's where Rhea's going to have to work on, because she did. She brought her legs up a little bit, but she can't bring her legs up to meet her upper body, because that will take her out of figure.
And I want to mention Jessica Reyes-Padilla, who loves to compete. She did Bernadette's show this year after the Olympia, and she had the hair. The hair was different. I looked and I covered. That was probably one of her best looks ever. So Jessica Reyes-Padilla placing second, still winning a lot of shows. I mean, she's telling everybody the momentum is on my side.
Oh, absolutely. The only reason that one of the reasons that Sydney would beat her was because of that back shot. She just needs still a little bit more density and just a little bit more width in her back. You know what I mean? If she was gonna, to beat Sid.
I talked to her at the Olympia banquet. This is why I love the sport. This is why I love the competitors. So, Sydney's out. Are you the heir apparent, or is this your year? She said, this isn't the way I wanted to win. I wanted to beat Sid.
Yeah.
I wanted to win. I didn't want to have it given to me. I said, you're not given. It's not given to you.
Because Lola's right behind you, hon,
Right.
and Natalia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But see, she's another one. Jessica's another one. Well, like Ashley, like Sid, she's a competitor at heart. And she is always going to work on whatever, improvements that, as judges that we, tell her, to make herself better for the next year. That's why she's the Masters also. And I love that she's that. I do, and most of the women know this. I hate when the women that are 35 and over won't do Masters, because I want them to show you can win both. That's why with Jessica Wilson, she does the Masters Olympia and qualifies for the Open Olympia. Jessica wins the Master Olympia, is second at the Open Olympia.
I love it. Yes, Dr. Jessica Wilson, congratulations on your recent win in requalification. I think she just requalified for the 25 Olympia.
Yeah.
Pretty certain.
Yeah, I got to check. She placed 5th at a show
Just
in
last
Anaheim.
weekend. Yeah, just last weekend.
week. But I think a few previous shows, she did very well. I mean, Jessica Wilson, Jessica Reyes-Padilla, these people that are over 40, they're super freaks, like this supplement from Global Formulas. They continue to prove that nobody's aging in bodybuilding. We are getting better.
Outstanding. Tarek Elgindi, as always, thank you for being part of this team. We got the privilege and the honor today. Sandy,
She's the GOAT of judges, the greatest of all time.
You know that means that just means you're old, honey.
No, that's not.
That's
Masters
exactly what that word means.
We prefer Masters champion. Sandy, thank you for joining us. Thank all of you for joining us. As always, like, subscribe, share. Give us your thoughts on everybody we talked about. Laura Lee, Jasmine, Sid Gillan, their place in history. And keep joining us here on Primetime Muscle. For Tim Wilkins, we'll see you next time.